Hi, my name is Danielle, and I have a lifelong passion for cooking. I'm a wife, a mother of 4, and a strong advocate for a vegan, plant-based, organic lifestyle. Over the last 10 years, I've been honing in my vegan, plant-based skills, and I'm here to bring them to you in my Plant Beach Family Kitchen. Hi, and welcome back to my Plant Beach Family Kitchen. Today we're going to make gravy to go with mashed potatoes that we did in a prior episode. So first, what we want to do is pour a little bit of olive oil into this pan. And then we have some onions here. It's about a medium to small onion. And just pour that in there. And then we have some mushrooms. And I'm going to take some Himalayan pink salt and just sprinkle it on. Give it a nice little stir there and let these cook down. They should cook down for about 10 minutes and then we'll start to add all the other ingredients. So once your onions and your mushrooms have cooked down, the next thing you want to do is add a little bit. I have some grated garlic, a little bit of mustard powder, and some thyme. And of course, I want to add some rosemary, and this is straight from my garden, so of course all the love that I put into my garden is also going into this dish. So just mix that in. You don't want to overcook the garlic, because if you cook it too long it'll get bitter, so you want to keep kind of that raw, that garlic flavor without it going over. Now what's really important next is you want to add the extra olive oil. This is about 3 tablespoons of olive oil, not including the little bit of olive oil that we put in the beginning. That was a separate tablespoon by itself. So right here, you're gonna, this mixture of the oil and the flour, I have about 4 tablespoons of flour. So equal amounts of fat, which is the oil, to equal amounts of flour. And then once you put that in your pan here, you wanna just mix it in. You wanna cook out that raw flour taste. And so what this is going to do, it's almost going to come together like sand in there, little sand beads. And this is going to stand to thicken your gravy. This is what's going to make it that texture that we all love when we pour the gravy over the mashed potatoes. And this doesn't have to be for mashed potatoes. I mean, you could use it for anything that you wanted to pour gravy over. So, okay, you'll see everything is coming together. It's looking like a glob. And what's happening is it's cooking out the flour. It's cooking out that raw taste. And then once it cooks a little bit, next thing you want to do is add wine. And if the wine cooks out, but if you're somebody who doesn't like to add any alcohol into your dishes, then just add a little bit more water, no problem, water or vegetable broth. So we're gonna pour that wine in, but it really does lend a flavor to the gravy that you can't get from any other ingredient. So you'll see here when I'm mixing that the flour mixture, the flour and oil mixture, and the wine will start to thicken up, and you'll see that's coming together, and that's going to be the base of the flavor for your entire gravy. And then what I'm going to do is add a little bit of, I have coconut aminos here if you want to keep it soy free, but if you have tamari, that's also a really good option to put in here. So either one will work, and the coconut aminos or the tamari gives it that traditional brown color that we all have been accustomed to seeing when we look at the gravy. Okay, so here we're mixing that in, and you can see how it's coming together. I like to add, this is completely optional, but I like to add a little bit of nutritional yeast, and what that does is it gives it just like a cheesy kind of undertone and little nutty flavor, and so that's something I love to put in my gravy. But again, if you don't have it at home, don't let it stop you from making it, just leave it out. So we're mixing that together, and now I like to put in approximately 2 cups of water. And again, you can use vegetable broth if you have it on hand. I didn't make any today, so I'm just using water, but I have all the flavorings in here of the onion powder and the garlic and the mushrooms and the actual onions. So water is okay, vegetable broth would just give it a little more flavor. So either one is fine. So I'm going to go ahead and finish pouring the water in, giving it a nice little whisk here, and you'll see it'll start to bubble and come together. I like to add a little bit of almond milk just to give it another little creamy element. And then what happens is this will come up to a boil, and anytime you're making a mixture with flour and oil, it'll never reach its full thickness until it comes to a boil. So if I stopped here and then waited and went to put it on the oven, it would get really thick later. So you want to see, you want to let it come to a boil so you can tell the thickness that it's going to be, and then from there you'll judge. Do I want to put a little more milk in? Do I want to put a little bit more vegetable broth or water? And sometimes even if it sits up, like if you decided to make this, let's say the morning of Thanksgiving, but you weren't going to eat it until the afternoon or evening, it might thicken up a little more than you would like, and then just add a little bit more water, no problem. And of course, salt and pepper is important. So right now I'm going to add a little bit more of that salt and pepper. And with anything, once it reaches its thickness, consistency, you want to taste it. You want to ask yourself, okay, does it need a little more tamari? Does it need a little bit more salt or pepper? And then from there, you'll decide. So I'm going to let that thicken here, and you'll see these bubbles will start to happen, and it'll start to get thicker. All right, and as you can see, it's come to its complete thickness. So what I'm going to do now is turn the heat down just a little bit to a simmer, and I'm going to taste it. Now, what you're looking for is the consistency of gravy. So you want it to be thick enough that it sticks on your mashed potatoes, but thin enough that you can pour it. And as you can see, that is achieved, that texture is achieved right here. And you have your mushrooms and you have your onions. Be sure before you serve it to take out the rosemary, unless you just want to have a little game of where whoever gets the rosemary gets a prize. So here we go, we're going to taste it. Delicious. Even though it has all of the onions and the mushrooms and the rosemary, I can still taste the little hint of wine coming through. The texture is velvety. The flavor of the rosemary and the richness of the mushroom comes through. This is a must make for your Thanksgiving meal with my must make mashed potatoes. Be sure to check the episode of the mashed potatoes and pair it with this wonderful gravy. We'll see you next time.